All right, I'll say that one more time. So today is October 8th, 2025. This is the Troy Hill Citizens Community Meeting. I am Morgan Casper, the chair of the board for 2025. And we have a full agenda as always today, folks. So we are going to go ahead and get started. Officer Defio from Zone 1, I see you are on the line. So I will pass it over to you for our public safety updates.
All right, thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me, guys. I pulled all of the stats from the day after your last meeting up until today, roughly 60 days or so. But there was a total of 20 reports generated with 9 arrests. Of those arrests, we cleared 4 arrest warrants. Most of the arrests were domestic violence arrests. For the Part 1 crimes, there were 2 burglaries, there was 1 robbery, and 2 thefts. No fatal overdoses and no fatal overdoses and 0 non-fatal overdoses. I got it there twice for some reason. No fatal and no non-fatal. That is all they have on there. If you guys have any questions.
Any questions for Officer Defio? So right before we pressed on mute, we were actually in this room having a conversation about the procedure, the pathway for the abandoned cars, of which there are many in Troy Hill. So I think, we would love a little clarification on how Zone 1 sort of receives and handles any reports of abandoned vehicles, and what that process looks like and what that timeline looks like.
We have a number of ways that they come to us. Some people will email them to me. Sometimes they'll call 911. We've had people come by. I mean, we receive the information a bunch of different ways. But we have a list that we make. So all that information goes on the abandoned vehicle list. In years past, every zone had one person assigned to that. That's all they did. Other than deliver the mail from one station to the other responsibility they had was abandoned vehicles. Now we're down almost about 300 people. We don't have anybody assigned to that regularly. What we are doing right now is one of the motorcycle officers who's assigned to Zone 1, when he's not doing other things, he's been working on that. But it's a lot slower than it used to be for us. I mean, we were usually able to address these a lot quicker. But any way that you want to get that information to us is fine. You can put it through 911 also. They will just take the information and they won't send an officer out. So it's not like you're going to be taking us away from anything. But yeah, that's how it works for the most part.
Interesting. Okay. And kind of similar to how we've done with other things, that's something we could just email. We can email it directly to you as well.
Yeah, absolutely. You can email to me. You can call the station and give it to the desk officer. Anyway, it's all good at the same place.
Oh, I think just so you know, your connection might be a little bit shaky. Does anyone have any other questions, follow-up questions about that?
What about vehicles on city-owned lots? We're talking about vehicles in the right-of-way, right? Like
okay.
on the street or on sidewalks.
Uh-huh.
What about the ones that have been dumped on city lots?
Could you hear that question, officer?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure if it's on city property, I'm pretty sure we could just tow those automatically. With other vehicles, when it comes to private property and things like that, we have to send out letters. And I'm not exactly sure of the exact process if it's on city property, but I would imagine that we could just take that. I don't think we have to go through any other process other than that.
Okay, interesting. And those could just be emailed right to you?
Yeah, they could be emailed to me. You can call the station. You can call 911 and take the information. Any way you want to get them to us, we'll check them out.
Okay, sounds good. Any other questions related to abandoned vehicles or anything else for Zone 1?
Can I just clarify one thing?
Yeah, of course.
Last time we met, we were discussing whether or not activity down at the light at 28 would be included in our report.
Right.
Officer DeFeo, does that include the intersection of 28 and 31st Street?
Yeah, I included all that. I remember in the past meetings, I asked you guys and you said you wanted that included. So I have been included.
Great, I just wanted to confirm, thank you.
That's
You're
great.
welcome.
Anything else for Zone 1? Officer, thank you as always for being here. I know you usually share your email address and your phone number into the chat. If you could just do that one more time, we'll make sure that anybody who has questions can reach out to you directly. But thanks for that clarification on the abandoned vehicles. There are quite a few.
You're welcome. Thank you. I appreciate it. I'll put that in the information in the chat, and then I'll see you guys at the next one. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. I believe we have someone here from Councilman Wilson's office. Hello. I don't have a mic today. If you, it's up to you. If you speak pretty loudly, I think we should be able to hear you on Zoom. And if you want to come up, you could also do that as well. That definitely would be able to hear you that way.
So the first one, the preliminary budget was released recently, and it's available on the city's OMB website. So this is still currently the preliminary budget. So in November, the mayor's office will release the final budget, which will then be given to council, and they'll hold briefings, and a final vote will be taking place at the end of the year. So I do encourage everyone, if you can, to review what's currently been proposed in the budget. My next update, so in July, council passed legislation requiring an annual fleet investment and efficiency report, which was delivered to council on September 1st. And so the report found that there are currently 29 vehicles already above the 30% repair threshold, 5 critical units that are also needing urgent replacement, and nearly 300 more projected for replacement within the 2 years. So as you know, this means that the fleet is in a pretty bad state. So council will be holding a cablecast post-agenda this upcoming Wednesday, October 15th at 2 p.m. to review the report and also discuss next steps. And so you can watch that on the city's YouTube page. And my next update, so on September 15th, Councilman Wilson introduced Bill 2025-2250, which is an ordinance establishing a new use classification, restricted personal goods retail, to create specific standards and conditional use requirements for vape shops or any similar retail establishments. And today at council, an amendment was introduced which added operating and location standards. So under this amendment, vape shops may not operate between 11 p.m. to 9 a.m. All vape products must be kept behind a counter or in a locked case. And no vape shops may be located within 1,000 feet at any elementary or secondary school, a licensed daycare facility, or any other vape shops. So this currently will be going to the Planning Commission, where there will be a public hearing, and then back at council. So there are a few more steps that are in the process, but I did want to just let you know what's been happening at council. And my final update is DOMI has requested a list of streets that need to be paved for the 2026 season. So we are asking every community group to send 3 to 5 different street segments in your community that you think need to be paved, so we can then submit that to DOMI, and they can make the final determination.
How would folks do that?
So I was going to email you
Perfect.
tomorrow.
Okay, great.
And so you would, and I can tell you exactly how we want the streets to be listed.
Great.
We want the street name, and then of course the segment, just so we don't have the entire street that may be a mile long, for example.
Right. That's great to know. We have a lot of streets that could use some paving.
Yeah.
Awesome. I will mention, and I talked to Julianne about this as well. For those of you who don't love going through, 100-page capital budgets, I love doing that. And I did notice in that first draft that there is 0 capital funding for the Callie Getman Recreation Center project, which is really disappointing for our neighborhood. We've had both folks from DPW and the design firms that have come out and really presented some beautiful plans. We've done a lot of community engagement, and we've been in touch with Councilman Wilson's office and are going to have a meeting later this month about that. But I did want to make folks aware that that is how the budget currently stands. So if that is something that continues to be important to you, please continue to advocate for that when there are opportunities. I'm not sure. I can't remember what kind of community engagement the city does in this part of the budget cycle. Do you remember?
I think a lot of it's run by the mayor's office.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm not 100% aware.
Totally
but
fine.
I do know they have different larger community group meetings that they have. I can look and see if they have any upcoming.
Yeah.
Sessions that they have.
I think so, and because I can't remember, I know that they do a lot in the like usually during the summer. If you are aware of or can find any information on what they might do in the fall, because I have a feel it'd be great to give our neighbors a route to be able to continue to advocate for it, because as you mentioned, the budget's not voted on until December, so there's time. I know it's a very tight operating and capital budget. I know it's going to be tough, but that project it would be a shame to see all the money that has been poured into the engagement and the planning for that project to go to waste again, because the capital funding isn't there. Any questions for Councilman Wilson's office?
Yeah, for Domi, anything as far as sidewalks go? Sidewalk repair?
Not really. If you do have a specific request, you can email
Okay,
our office.
I was just wondering if something was already slated for that.
No, I don't believe so. Sidewalks are kind of difficult because they are, I believe, the property owner's responsibility, so it's kind of case-by-case situation.
Okay.
So if you do have a specific sidewalk in mind that you know needs repair, you can let our office know. And our email is district@pittsburghpa.gov.
Okay, and one last thing, it's kind of a Domi question. Safe routes to school, are there any plans regarding that in all these schools that are in our neighborhood?
I'm not sure. I think they do have an Engage page on that they recently updated, but I can look more into that
Okay.
for you.
All right. It's a way to get some federal funding.
Oh,
to repair
interesting.
Sidewalks and
Okay.
things like that.
Okay. No.
Hopefully.
I think we got some questions in the room. Yeah, go ahead.
And I may be jumping the gun a little bit on this question because I know Pittsburgh Water is here, but
Okay.
is there some clarification about street paving that would be responsibility of the city and responsibility due to work that's been done?
I was going to ask that too, because even today, like Pittsburgh Water, like they're out there today. They're everywhere, like I saw them today. So I was curious if it's a water situation versus if it's a Domi situation, just to kind of.
I think it depends, the case-by-case
Okay.
situation. I know there's been ongoing conversations with Pittsburgh Water and also the city, just to kind of figure out a better way to delegate who belongs to who in that sort of situation. Just a lot of times when issues do occur, there's a lot of back and forth on who owns the responsibility to fix or the sidewalk or the street. So we're trying to improve that system. So it's honestly a case-by-case situation as of right now. So that's.
But does it? I'm guessing if that's the case, if there's communication, it doesn't hurt to report something that needs to be paved.
Absolutely, I always recommend to report it either strictly to Pittsburgh Water or our office because we have direct conversations with each other.
Great. Jeff, oh, sorry. Any questions online for Councilman Wilson's office? Awesome. Thank you so much. All right. Do we have anyone here from Representative Lindsay Powell's office? Okay. Is there anyone with us from the mayor's office today? All righty then. In that case, we are going to go ahead and jump ahead to speaking of Pittsburgh Water. Pittsburgh Water is here to talk to us about the state of their organization, some upcoming projects, and I already prepped them that we have a lot of questions about water main breaks because it's a popular topic up here. So I know they came prepared. So I will invite them to the front. Penny, could you grab those lights? I'm going to go ahead. So for those of you who are in the room, give me just a second. I'm going to make sure that both of our friends on Zoom and us in the room can see your slides. And it's just going to take me a second to coordinate that. No, I think that's good. Thank you. One moment. Okay, I know this is not the beginning slide, so let me see if I can figure out. And I would like to full screen this, and I'm not sure why it won't let me. Is it that? Okay, let's try this. Slideshow. Possibly. Well, Oh yeah. Sorry, 1 second, friends. I just want to make sure everyone can see this. Oh, is it sharing? If you're on Zoom, can you all see the
Yeah, Morgan, it's
slide?
good. Looks great.
Oh, I don't. Can you see it like in a? Can you see it as a full slideshow, or can you see it?
Whatever you did previously, it did. Right now, it's just on the. There you go. Now it's working.
Can you see the full thing? Okay, great.
Yep. Nice
Thank
work.
you
Perfect, thank
so
you.
much. Thanks, team. Alrighty, and I'll hand it over to you.
Thank you. Thanks, Morgan. Well, good evening. Hello. My name is Rebecca Zito. I'm the Senior Manager of Public Affairs at Pittsburgh Water. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit today about various projects and initiatives taking place throughout our organization. In the back of the room is Sarah Wisniewski. She is our PGH2O CARES coordinator, overseeing our customer assistance programs and making sure that people are aware that we have customer assistance programs, and is out in the field with her and her staff, busy getting people enrolled and building awareness about those programs. So if you know of anybody who could benefit from them, Sarah is the person to talk to. So we started doing the State of Pittsburgh water presentations about a year ago, really trying to get out into the neighborhoods to share a little bit of information about who we are as an organization, how we're evolving and adapting, trying to be more responsive and getting to know who our customers are. We really are interested in building relationships with our customers and trying to establish a back and forth relationship with all of you. So we like to start our presentations off with what we call a safety moment. And this is to just kind of set the tone as to the importance that we have with safety in our organization. It is one of our core values. So earlier this year, we started a Safe People, Safe Water program. And this is really to encourage our employees to be more aware of their surroundings, empowering them to, if they see something that doesn't look quite right, if they see something that could become an accident that is just waiting to happen, that they should say something about that. And then there is a collaborative process around that helps to identify changes, all towards making and establishing a safer working environment. And although this is an internal initiative, there are really many benefits to our customers. So you can imagine when our operations staff is out in the field fixing a water main break or replacing a valve, addressing something that is going on within the sewer system. There are just a million and one things to keep track of. And so when they are coming at that with a mindset of safety first, it helps them to identify things that could become problems before they happen, or to take the time to set up a safe work environment. And not only does that benefit their ability to perform their job out in the field, but it also creates a safer environment for our customers. So that is one of the things that we are really striving to be more aware of and more proactive about. So first, just a little bit of information about our service area. We serve the entire city of Pittsburgh, serving a regional population of about 520,000 people. Our drinking water customers are the area in blue. That's the majority of the city of Pittsburgh. And so you do receive drinking water from us. You're also receiving wastewater conveyance services from us and stormwater services. Just some facts about Pittsburgh Water. We have about 445 employees, almost 450. We are permitted to produce up to 100 million gallons of water per day. The water lines that we maintain, there's about 961 miles of water lines. So if you would extend those end to end in one straight line,
They would extend from Pittsburgh all the way down to Orlando, Florida. Similarly, with the sewer lines that we maintain, it's over 1,000 miles of sewer lines, and extending those end to end, they extend all the way from Pittsburgh out to Colorado, the Denver area. So you can just imagine that is a massive amount of infrastructure to take care of. And then there's the manholes, the catch basins, fire hydrants, and the valves that all make up our water or sewer system. It's also important to note that we are a public authority, so we are not a department within the city of Pittsburgh. We're somewhat independent from the city. We work closely with them on many different things, but we have our own budget that we maintain. We have our own volunteer board of directors. Our board of directors are approving things like around policy and the project spending that we bring forward to them. We also do not generate a profit. Every dollar that we receive is reinvested back into the services that we provide. It's reinvested back into the infrastructure that we maintain. And we also do not have shareholders. That is something that you would see with a private utility, but as a public utility, that is not how we are made up. We have our board of directors, and we are responsible for you, our customers. And so, and because of that responsibility, we want to be out talking to you and engaging with you and just understanding what some of your concerns are, your interests are, and really trying to be a good partner with our customers. A couple of years ago, we also just reestablished and took a look at our, you can go to the next slide, please. Thank you. We took a look at our mission, vision, and core values, and really took establishing these organizational statements to heart. We wanted to emphasize our protection of public health and the environment. So that is our mission statement. We take that very seriously. Everything that we do, from the water quality, water treatment, the maintenance of our infrastructure, it is all focused on protecting the health and safety and the environment of the community that we serve. We're also looking towards the future. We're in a period of time where we are investing millions of dollars each year into our water system, and it's really transforming the water infrastructure that you rely on. Up until recently, there has not been a lot of investment in the infrastructure that is necessary for getting water from the treatment plant to homes, for conveying wastewater out to Elkasan. We're making up for all that lost time and trying to do the investment that's necessary to transform the services that you all rely on. And one part of this organizational transformation was last year when we did rebrand to Pittsburgh Water. It was an opportunity to simplify our name, to make it a little bit more easier for people to say, for people to remember, and also just provided an opportunity for us to reintroduce ourselves to the customers that we serve. It does reflect the organizational progress that we have made and just signifies our commitment to quality and ethics and compliance around providing water services to our community. And some of the ways in which we are demonstrating that and demonstrating how we are living up to our mission is through programs like our community-led response. So our community-led response was put in place in 2016, and that did follow an exceedance of lead levels at that time. But since then, we have replaced more than 13,000 lead service lines throughout our water distribution system, and more than 10,000 private service lines. So those would be the service lines that connect from the curb box out in the sidewalks to the homes to people's homes. So those are the service lines that bring water into your house. And so those service lines have been replaced at no direct cost to our customers. We also the program that we have developed is one that utilities all across the country are trying to put in place, something similar to that, because we have established a program that prioritizes equity, that prioritizes the health of the neighborhoods, and where we are replacing the lead service lines and really doing our best to get to remove all residential lead service lines by 2027. You would also see in this graph over here how lead levels have come down since we changed our treatment process. In 2019 was when we began adding orthophosphate to our drinking water treatment process. That is a food grade additive that provides a level of corrosion control. It forms like a layer on the inside of the pipes, and so that prevents any materials from leaching into the water. And so since 2019, there has been a steady decrease in lead levels, and we are at about 3 parts per billion, which is significantly below the federal action level at 15 parts per billion. Another program that we are focused on right now is reinvesting in the large century-old infrastructure that brings water from the treatment plant out into the distribution system. This is called our Water Reliability Plan, and it's a series of several multi-generational projects that will strengthen our water infrastructure, add redundancies, and make it a lot more reliable for our customers. So one of the capstone project of the Water Reliability Plan is to replace the century-old, it's called the clear well. It's the final step of the water treatment process. It is an underground storage tank that holds millions of gallons of drinking water, and it's where we add chlorine to the treated drinking water before it enters the distribution system. That facility, it was built in 1912, was about when it went into service. And at the time, it was a really like amazing engineering marvel at its time. But it's over a century old, and it's time to replace it. It is a single cell. There is no way to take it offline for maintenance. So we do need to replace it in its entirety. And in order for us to do that, there are a number of projects that need to come before it. And so we have constructed the first phase of those projects. Those were focused on rehabilitating some of the large distribution pipes. We have replaced the liner and cover of one of our reservoirs. We are now in the process where we are building new pump stations. So there's a new pump station being constructed within the vicinity of Highland Park. That should be substantially complete towards later this year. By the end of the year, that should be substantially complete. And now we're also turning our attention to what's known as our ABC projects. And so has anyone been to the water treatment plant? All right, we should organize a tour for this.
Sure.
It's really phenomenal if you all have the time and are interested. So there's a pump station at the treatment plant that's called the Aspinwall Pump Station. And that is part of the ABC project. It's the A. It is going to be rehabilitated. It's also a historic building. There's some historic elements of the facade that we need to maintain. But beyond that, we're going to be upgrading the pumps so that they are more reliable and better able to get water from point A to point B. Across the river from the treatment plant is another pump station. That one is going to be completely replaced and rebuilt stronger, more modern, more reliable system. And then we do need to construct a bypass pipeline to get water, pipeline that will bypass the clear well and take water from the treatment plant and put it into the reservoirs. The reservoirs, while the clear well is under construction, the reservoirs will serve as a temporary clear well so that water can be treated, still be treated with chlorine, get the necessary disinfection time, and then go out into the distribution system. So it's a really complicated, multifaceted project, but it is going to sustain our system for current customers now and customers well into the future. And if you are able to come to the water treatment plant, you will see up close and personal the water treatment process. And is anybody at all familiar with the treatment process? Yeah, a little bit?
Yeah, water operator. So
Oh.
I'm like super excited.
All right, you're probably going to correct me as I talk through the treatment process because I am like the 3rd grade level of water treatment. So I can give you a very high level overview. So do you all know which river we pull our drinking water from? Yes, excellent. Oh, I'm sorry. Didn't mean to take up so much time. Anyway, the treatment process, you pull water from the Allegheny River. It enters, goes through a series of pumps to get it to the point where we are able to begin clarifying the water. That just allows like some of the solids to settle to the bottom. And as the water clarifies, it goes into the sedimentation basins where it becomes a little bit more clear. Then more particles are filtered out in the filtration room. Then that's where it enters the clear well for disinfection. Then it goes out into the distribution system. All right, so this next slide is about some projects that are coming up in your neighborhood. And if you want to switch over to the map.
Okay. I'm hoping it will follow on Zoom. If you're on Zoom, do you now see a map?
Yes, I see a map.
Yes, we do.
Great.
We do.
Okay,
We see-
wonderful. Okay.
So before coming to this meeting, I have heard that you're experiencing a lot of water main breaks in your area. And we are aware that those water main breaks are happening. Between 2024 and 2025, there's been about 10 more water main breaks this year than there were last year. Last year, I counted that there were 18 in this area, and this year at 28. We do have a water main replacement project planned for the area, and that is these blue lines. And so everything here in blue will be replaced. And then there's also a lead service line replacement project that will also be starting next year. The water main replacement project will begin in the spring of 2026 and continue through July of 2027. So it is a pretty significant project and will take some time for us to fully replace the necessary pipes and reestablish service connections, and then lead service line replacements. I believe that the verification is going to start next year, but the pipes will not be replaced until 2027. And typically when we do have a water main replacement project going through a neighborhood, if we do see a lead pipe, we will replace it as part of the water main replacement project. That's just a more effective way and a more responsible way to use ratepayer dollars. What was explained to me with the water main breaks, it's this kind of triangle area over here where Lay Street and I think it's Froman.
Yeah,
Froman.
it's right by Scratch. For those of you who are familiar, is where it breaks. I mean, there's other places that it breaks, but it breaks there pretty frequently.
Yeah, and so what is explained to me is that's a bit of a pinch point within the Troy Hill area, and so at that area, it's just like there's one way for water to get in and one way for water to get out. So when that pipe breaks, it causes a situation where it does impact streets beyond and makes it a little bit bigger than it really is. And so I think with this water main, what was explained to me with this water main replacement project is that there will be a redundant water line connection installed to help alleviate some of that. So this project will help to create a more reliable system for the Troy Hill area. Like all construction projects, though, it is going to be a bit impactful, and it will take time for it to be fully constructed.
Oh, go ahead.
Is there gonna be road repair, or do they have to rip our roads up for that? Because they were just ripped up for the lead lines last summer.
In the pink area?
And the blue, well, the blue is under, like, is down the main street, right?
Yeah, I think that is Lowry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's Lowry Street, so that's our bus route and all that, but I'm just curious if,
That's a good point.
do they have to rip the, remove the road?
Yeah.
And they're gonna replace it again?
Yes. Yeah, the roads will need to be excavated in order to get to the pipe and reinstall the new pipe. Whatever we touch for construction, we will come back and restore. So you will get a brand new street when the project is complete. It's also my understanding that we work on kind of a block by block process, so it won't. And I can double check this, but typically we do not like dig up the whole entire street. We dig it up section by section.
Wonder if we coordinate with like maybe some speed humps at the same time when we're repaving that.
Oh, that would be really nice.
So that would need to be coordinated with Domi in the city and the council office.
I'm sorry, I missed that.
I was just saying that anything beyond the scope of our water main replacement project would need to be coordinated with the city.
I'm curious. Well, I have a couple questions. So this is interesting because I think there has been a lot of advocacy for that water main to be replaced. So it's really exciting that it is being replaced. However, I had not heard that until just now. So thank you for sharing. To Penny's point, that is our bus route. And I'm not sure how the bus would go. So maybe when you said this, yeah, but I mean, but that takes you down Lowry Street. So I guess what might be helpful, we've got time to have this conversation because I thought you said it starts in May of 2026.
April.
Okay.
Yeah, the spring.
It would be wonderful if closer to that time period, either we can get some intentional meetings set aside just so we can communicate with the neighbors what that looks like, what's going to be closed, like all those sorts of things. Because with the neighborhood, the way that it is, that is the main thoroughfare in and out.
Okay.
So that would be helpful. And also to kind of head off what I know will be concerns around parking and things like that that would be temporarily disrupted by that project. So I think anything that we can do to get a full idea of what that scope looks like, what the timeline looks like, what folks can expect, I think will help with some of that. So that's exciting. My other question is, how do you determine like when and where to do these projects? Because I'm just thinking Hatteras has had a ton. Len could tell you. Hatteras has had a ton of water main breaks as well in this past year. It seems like it's getting worse on Hatteras. Which is like one street over. Yeah, one street over. So I'm curious, like, are you all looking at data to decide when these are happening, or is there a more complicated process?
Out a little bit.
Yeah.
There's a couple more streets that I think are part of it too. I'm not familiar with all of the streets.
Yeah, it looks like they would. Well, maybe. Hold on.
But yeah, we do use data to determine our projects. It's like looking at the age of the pipes within the area, the history of breaks. There are also some like equity that we take into consideration. So those are just some of the factors that we use. Like when we were looking at this area last week, we found that one of the pipes in the area was originally constructed installed in 1896. So you have some old pipes in your neighborhood, and it's time to replace them.
I just want to make sure that when we get to the point where you're replacing all that blue stuff along Lowry, that the local businesses are alerted, because we have a few small businesses, and a day of lost revenue is a day that they can't get back. And I mean, these water main breaks are unpredictable, which is worse. But I mean, if you could alert them, and we're trying to attract more new businesses to the area.
Makes sense. Yeah, we do have a construction communications program where we do come out and do like pre-construction meetings with the community to share with them more of the details around the project, talk through the impacts that you can expect with like road closures or parking, the bus if we need to relocate the bus route or just coordinate somehow with PRT. Those are the types of things that are all discussed. We also do, when we are constructing projects like this, planned water outages are inevitable. They are going to be necessary. We do our best to try to send robocalls in advance of those outages happening, so everybody can prepare. One thing that you can do if you have not received our robocalls, make sure that we have your contact information within. If you can go back to the PowerPoint and go to the next slide. If you don't mind.
I mean, a day's notice is fine for most consumers, but I think the businesses deserve to have advance warning if possible.
Yeah, we can take a look to see what we can do with that. We are kind of rethinking our construction communication process, so that this is good feedback. But if you're not already receiving robocalls from us, if you go to this web link, you can update your contact information, and we do always post our service outages onto our website, pgh20.com/service-outages. Yes.
Does that work if rent and you aren't the one paying the bill? Is there a way that we can sign up?
You can still enter your contact information. Yes.
That's really helpful because I don't get that update.
I know we're starting to run a little short on time. We could probably take. I want to make sure no one online. Does anyone online have any questions? Okay.
Oh yes.
Yeah, this is a Pittsburgh water question, not just a Troy Hill one. Tonight is a planning commission hearing for a data center going to the northeast of us. And those are water hungry beasts. There's no guarantee it's going to pass, but with these kinds of activities, how is that going to, affect our water source is the Allegheny, and we're downstream. So it's just a concern.
Yeah, and that's understandable. The Allegheny River is, like, we are fortunate that we get our water from the Allegheny River. It's like a more plentiful river. It passes through really like more rural, less industrialized areas, so it's a cleaner river. And we haven't ever been in a situation where we were faced with a water shortage or anything like that. If this facility is being built upstream of our intake, we would definitely, I think, want to have conversations with the water utilities there to learn a little bit more about their water quality, how that's all being protected. We're also a member of this group called Orsenco, which is like a regional water consortium. And so there's just information sharing that's going back and forth between entities like that.
And we'll, are we able to share these slides out? Okay,
Yes.
wonderful. Thank you so much. Great. Thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it. That was wonderful information. And yeah, we'll be in touch about, I think it'd be helpful to have at least one more conversation about that project, but I'm so glad to know that that's happening. It's very necessary. Yeah, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Okay. All right. So we are going to move on to our guests that are here from the OneNorthside Education Committee to talk with us about the PPS facility utilization plan. And I'm going to move the Zoom back over, and we can actually turn the lights back on because we don't have slides for this one. And you all are welcome to come, since we have like a conference microphone, if you want to come to the front, that's totally fine. It'd be helpful to hear you. Yeah, I can hear everybody.
Are we good to go?
You are good to go, and feel free to introduce yourselves, and the floor is yours.
All right, I'll do that. I'll try to speak up. My name is Chris. I am part of the OneNorthside education team. My colleague Charisse is with me tonight. We're excited to come out and talk to you guys. I wish our plan was as cohesive as the one you just heard. But we are dealing with a little bit of uncertainty with the Pittsburgh School District, just in terms of what the path forward is going to be. And so we did have a chance. I know Valerie is on the Zoom here. We had a chance to connect with Valerie yesterday. We know she's been very active in the communications and the process with Pittsburgh School District. And she did share with us some of the concerns that have surfaced in your community. But what we're trying to do as a committee, OneNorthside, the education team looks broadly at the quality of education on the North Side. Our goal is to ensure that Northside students have access to quality schools. Today, many Northside families choose to send their kids off the North Side for their education, either within the district through the magnet school program or to private and charter schools. So we know we've already got some challenges. What we put together is a one-page, and this is a sneaky one page, right? Because it's actually 2 pages and it's really small print. We tried to put together a simple summary of what the current PPS proposal entails and what would it mean for the schools on the North Side. So they have made a very comprehensive presentation of what they're thinking of doing across the city. We just focused on the impact here. So for example, we would go from 8 total schools to 5, 4 buildings would close, 1 would reopen. And there's a lot of information in here about what they're doing and why. And our goal isn't to advocate for any one outcome. It's to make sure people are aware of what's unfolding and that we create opportunities to share our feedback. And because we have so many smaller neighborhoods, we've had some success aggregating resident feedback and sharing that with the district. So we're trying to get out to as many neighborhood groups as we can to see what's on your mind, to see what questions you might have, and to talk a little bit about how the process is unfolding. So the last thing that I'll share before I stop is there is still some uncertainty in whether the board will approve this plan. So the board voted 5-4 in June to open a public commentary period, which was sort of the legal precursor to closing schools. And that process is unfolding right now. The board has asked the administration to present some additional implementation details. They're expecting that this month, and the board is expected to vote in November. We don't know if they have enough votes to approve the plan. So there is still a little bit of uncertainty. So with that, I'll just kind of pause and see, are there some specific questions that you have about what they're doing, why they're doing it? Is there feedback? And again, Valerie really shared a lot of really great thoughts with us yesterday. But are there questions that you have about the process as it's kind of currently defined?
I have a stupid question. Is this charter school that we're talking about?
No,
Or
none of
this
this is charter. So the charter system is independent of this. For example, Provident,
Right.
where my wife happens to work. Provident isn't part of this plan. Their charter is independent of what the school district is planning to do. And as I understand it, Provident's charter was just renewed.
I see a question on Zoom. Steph, go for it.
Hi, thank you so much for being here and for doing this work. It's important work. I was wondering if you could send an electronic copy of that to one of us so that we can drop it in the chat, because I want to see it. And then also, I'm wondering, what are you guys hoping to accomplish in this short time frame between now and when the proposal is released officially, like when the recommendation to the board happens? I did see from the budget meeting on October 6th, they are going to release two budgets, one budget with the changes and one budget without the changes. And I'm wondering how you guys are planning to respond to that, or what your thoughts are.
More?
Yeah, so great question on two fronts. So what we're wrestling with right now is whether we should still be advocating for changes to the plan, or whether we should start thinking about how do we make sure the schools that remain open are the best possible schools we can have here on the north side. And so we're stuck in a little bit of limbo because we don't know yet what the district's going to do. So what we're encouraging neighborhoods to do is share any feedback you have with us now, and or go directly to your school board members. So
That's okay. Sorry, she's sharing we're just technical issue. We're trying to share this online with them.
Right.
That's what's going on.
So
we'll get it.
We are still encouraging, because it's so close from a board vote standpoint, we are encouraging folks that have a strong opinion about the current plan to meet with their board member to see what their position is, or to meet with other board members who represent the north side. So that's all we can really do in the short run. Now, the other kind of challenging thing about that is it's hard to just resist some facet of the plan without some other creative alternatives. I feel like the board is receptive to the conversation when we're like, well, this part of the plan would impact us negatively in these reasons. Is there an alternative that you can consider? Because they have painted a picture where the current infrastructure is out of alignment with the significant enrollment declines we've had over the last few years. So to get more to the net of your question, what we're hoping to do beyond that is to establish a better channel of communication between the OneNorthside group and all of the neighborhood groups, so that when we do have something we want to advocate for more strongly, we can do that with a unified voice and not, be fighting with 4 people at this hearing and 3 at that one. We see in other parts of the city that they successfully unify their voice, and they often advocate for things that are supported.
So I have a suggestion, and I did email this out to my board members as well as to the superintendent, and was met with absolute radio silence. And this was over a month ago that I sent it, maybe even 2 months ago at this point. But, and I know that this is not what they're hoping, but I do think it is a creative suggestion that would save them money in the long run. So as opposed to rehabbing and building a new school that has not been occupied in Northview for a very, very, very long time, my suggestion is to take that elementary and split it into 2, and have like Spring Hill be a K-2 program and Schiller be a 3 to 5 program. And so I know they don't want to do that. They're being very we don't want to split buildings. We don't want to have 2 principals, but that is one additional person. As far as having 2 principals, your related arts could go back and forth. So you would still have one related arts person that go between the K-2 and the 3-5. It would keep both of our buildings in this region, and it would prevent them from building a new one. So
That's a great idea. I support that. Sorry, just saying.
Yeah, so that's something I really think, and I know that it's very out of the box because it doesn't fit perfectly in with their K-5, 6, 8, 9, 12 plan. But it would be a K-5 school that would just be in 2 buildings. And that would solve the enrollment issue because they're saying Spring Hill's not big enough and Schiller's not big enough. And so if we do that, then we would take all of the students on this side of 279 in those 2 buildings.
Yeah, well,
Oh, we got that too, and Lindsay just scanned it in, so we got it. But thank you so much. We'll send it. We'll send it out with our follow up. Yeah.
Yeah, we can
Yeah.
follow up with things by email as well. Yeah, so again, we can't tell you what they're gonna listen to and what they won't, but at least I think they appreciate when you're at least trying to come up with some alternative scenarios for them to consider. Now, again, what we don't know is if the board defers the vote, it will be deferred likely for another year. I don't think I spoke to one of the board members earlier today, and I don't think his position is a no vote means do nothing. It means we're not ready to make these changes yet. We need more information to make sure we do it right. At least that's his interpretation. Because I think we've heard from a lot of folks that the status quo isn't working for a lot of kids, and we know the financial structure isn't working for the district. So they're going to end up having to do something. But I think that kind of, constructive, creative thinking is what makes the most sense. Versus, I think a lot of the meetings people are concerned, but they don't always have alternatives for them to consider. So thanks for sharing that. But in terms of, go ahead, sorry.
No, I just wanted to say that in the plan, they are going to keep, even if this all passes through, they are going to keep Spring Hill open for at least another year because they don't have anywhere to house those students, and while they would construct the new Northview building. And so I just think that there is wiggle room for something to happen with this piece. And if there's anything we can advocate for to refrain from having closed buildings in our neighborhood, I think that would be amazing.
Yeah, it's a great point. The Spring Hill School isn't slated to close until June of 2028. So it would be part of what they've called their third phase because they don't have a specific plan for the reconstruction of the Northview Elementary yet. So I do agree there's a window of opportunity. And again, I think what I would encourage you is to connect with the Spring Hill folks, get a larger aggregation of voices together, and we're more than willing to help with that facilitation. So that as you present these ideas, you don't feel like you're just one person trying to speak to the structure that we're representing multiple communities. So would definitely encourage you to keep doing that. Now, once the board approves the plan, then we'll shift some of our focus into, okay, how do we make these the best schools they can possibly be, especially since we will be impacted in phase 1 by some of the changes that are happening at the elementary and middle school level. And so that'll be another thing that we'll want to have an ongoing channel of communication. And so what we are asking, and I know, again, Valerie, it sounds like you have several people that are very active in this. We're hoping that at least 1 or 2 people from your neighborhood will join our committee so that we have regular representation and it's not just a once in a while thing. We come up and have the conversation. Great. So if you guys want to think about who those people are, if they're both on that Zoom right there.
They're up there. Yeah, that's why I made notes.
And I missed the name of, it's not David.
Stephanie, it's not, no, it's Stephanie.
Stephanie?
I can get you the spelling.
Okay.
Yeah. No, that's extremely helpful. So I think some of us are more familiar. My understanding right now is that as the plan currently stands, if adopted without any additional changes, that elementary students from our neighborhood would go to Northview and then go to Schiller for middle school. Is that correct?
Schiller, which will be in a new building.
Right. Right. And is that right? That's right. Which is that, why not? I don't know. That's also my question. Yeah.
But here's the other thing. In this current one, just keep in mind Spring Hill would stay open for 2 additional years while they're renovating Northview. So we
two
still would have Spring
school
Hill
years,
for,
Spring Hill will be open. The other
Yeah.
thing that's
2
interesting
school
that we learned is they've made renovations to Spring Hill relatively recently.
Yeah.
So they know that that school needs to be a part of the equation for at least some additional period of time.
What's the reasoning that they're gonna close Spring Hill and maybe possibly build a new one in Northview? What's their reasoning?
So the reason, oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Stepping up works in the school.
The assessment that was done stated that Spring Hill could not house more than 300 students. And they want an elementary school that houses comfortably 300 students, more like 350 students in a K-5 situation. It is an old building that is beautiful with giant classrooms. And so it doesn't act, you can't put more because of our contracts, you can't put more than 26 students under in second grade in one room. Second, first, and kindergarten. So it limits your ability to have enough students in the building. Like when I was there, so I worked as a school counselor there in 08, 09, and 10. And we actually had 356 students in that building at the time, but we utilized Spring Garden for our kindergarten classes. So we had Spring Garden down in kindergarten and 1st through 5 in Spring Hill, but we were all one building. It worked really well. We used the demountables outside Spring Garden to be creative in order to be able to house enough students. So there are creative solutions, and that was one of them.
Kindergarten building on the same property, just like Spring Garden did when my son went there.
Exactly. There's always
So
the
like
possibility of
cheaper than
demountables.
building a whole Northview High School.
Yeah, there's a lot of possibilities. The other thing, and it's really not, you obviously have some people who are very tapped in,
Yes.
who are exactly the people we're trying to connect with. The other challenge is demographically, there are a lot of school-age kids in Northview. They're all sent out of there right now. So there is a high probability that it makes sense to do something there.
But it doesn't make sense when these parents that don't speak English and don't know how to get bus transportation, got to go up and get their sick kids, they can at least walk up to Spring Hill. They can't walk to Northview. So, yeah, I mean, you gotta.
No, I'm just explaining.
I'm just saying, they
where
gotta
their
come in.
logic
Troy Hill,
was.
Spring Garden is also part taxpayers community that goes there. That's, I don't no longer have a child there, but it makes me upset that they're just taking all their schools away. And they can care less about parents' transportation and how they get there.
Yeah, well, transportation is an issue that's come up a lot. And I think it's one of the things the board is waiting for more information about, because that is a challenge. Sharice, do you want to add anything else just in terms of anything I missed or?
No, I don't. I think I have covered the responses. I think it's a flip flop, right? To get to your point about transportation and high population of non-English speakers. The Northview Heights community is the largest housing authority in the city of Pittsburgh, housing community in the city. And 90% of the children who go to King actually come from Northview Heights.
Really? That's interesting.
Yes. So when I work at Northview Heights. That's where our organization, part of our organization services are. If I come in when the kids are getting on the bus, there's buses, like a bus pulls up, loads the kids, takes them down to King. And there's a second bus that pulls up, loads the kids up and takes them to King. So I'm just saying, that's what I'm seeing is an entire community of children being bused out of their neighborhood with no walkability. So it's a flip flop is what I'm saying. So that's that's a part of it is saying, okay, well, how can we remedy the situation that we had? So, one of the things, I know you all may feel as if something being taken from you, and then Northview feels as if something's already been taken from them for the past 13 years. So what we're doing here is hearing, what your concerns are, hearing what your ideas are, and then saying, okay, this is what we're hearing overall.
First of all, Springwater School was taken from us way before Northview was taken from them, so we also lost school.
Yes,
And now
but-
we're losing, again, another school,
Yes,
another community, so.
that's what we hear. We hear that everybody, there's many people who feel as if the education opportunity in their neighborhood is being taken away. That's what we hear, and that's what we're writing down, and that's what we take back to the district.
But I'm saying, a kid gets off from school and he's running late from here, there's no treatment, there's transportation to get there, and parents don't drive, how do they get the kids to school? Like, that is a part. Why isn't this, yeah, and they're saying, I'm just saying, why are they going to, Troy Hill's going to Northview instead of Allegheny, where they can take a bus right down there. Does that make any sense? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, write it down. That's
Okay,
why,
okay.
that's why I'm writing it down, because I understand your words. But again, I don't represent
I
either
understand,
one
but
of
it
those
needs to be
entities.
like,
But that's what we're doing. We're here to take your information and move forward. That's what we're here to do.
I did want to hear your point, and I was actually at King when Northview closed, so I was part of the reintegration of the students from Northview into King for that 3-year phase in when Northview closed, and it was devastating that Northview closed. Absolutely devastating to the families, to the community, the people that have worked there for so long. And so it would be nice if the district could right a wrong. I think that would be amazing. It just doesn't feel good to have other communities stripped in order to right that wrong, right? And so what I wonder is if there's a way we can't have it all in this north side, because we have, what, 3 charter schools over here? So we need to pull kids and families back into our district. And one of the things I wonder is they've talked about the teacher education centers. And I wonder if it could be like a specialized program in Northview, like utilizing that building to support students and to support learning and to support teacher growth, and have some like the best educators come over there and do the work. If they're going to continue through with those teacher educator schools, that would be, I think, a really amazing, just to bring some education back into Northview. And also, I hate that like the ELL families are bused out of Northview and go all the way over to Arsenal, or sometimes some of them go all the way across the city to an ELL center. So I think we can really start thinking about having ELL centers on the north side. And I think that's really important. I know that's part of the plan as well, but those are some thoughts that I'm thinking.
Yeah, thank you. So, I mean, we hear the frustration and we're sharing it. It's not clear how much influence we're going to have on the decisions that are made if it's approved as it's currently designed. If the vote doesn't go through, then there's a whole nother period for alternative solutions to surface. And some of the ideas that you're kicking around, could Spring Hill be used for these purposes? Yes, let's reopen something in Northview, but what are the attributes of that school? I know one of the considerations, and again, these are numbers on a page, is that Northview School has a bigger total capacity than Spring Hill does. So when they look at the demographics in the neighborhood and the size of the school, that was one of the criteria. But that's also a third-party consultant that's not from the region that made that recommendation. So as Cherise said, we're just going to take notes. We're going to try to find common themes, because when we can share common themes that surface from multiple neighborhoods, I think that ultimately will be more influential. And so that's our goal, to kind of make the connection so that we can have a regular dialogue, unify our voices, and hopefully advocate for some alternatives.
I appreciate what you all are doing, because I agree that it helps to have that unified voice. So thank you for that. I do want to acknowledge it is 7:11, and I want to make sure that we have some time for our neighbors who have hung on to voice any concerns that they have. How can we, so I'll put you in touch with our neighbors here who are the most involved and who are most like hooked in, and Stephanie and Valerie are they have a lot of very, well, you have a lot of experience. You've been in this for a really long time, so I'll connect you with them. How else might we in the neighborhood connect with you to share more thoughts?
Well, so a couple things. I mean, some of it is simple communications. If people want to get on an email list, I'll leave a sign-up sheet here or pass it around. The other thing is we're hoping that we can proactively communicate with all the neighborhood groups. So you just need to tell us how to channel that. So the minute we hear something on the next step,
You just email
we
us.
can push it out to everybody and you'll have the most current information, you know, the minute we all have it. And then we can also triangulate to make sure, like, are we all here? Like, did the vote really happen? And, you know, because sometimes we hear things that are not official yet. So having that regular channel of communication, people can sign up for the mailing list if they're interested in that. And then having a couple of people be a part of our committee would be great.
Great. Awesome. And yeah, you can always send those emails right to that Troy Hill Gmail that you now have.
Okay.
And then we can push it out. Thank you
But yeah,
so
thank
much.
you so much.
This is I know it's a very confused, I am very confused by the process. My child is less than a year old but I still feel like I need to be hooked in. It's hard. So I thank you all for devoting time to trying to demystify it and unify voices. And it's really important work. And so thank you very much for that. Yeah, thank you. All right, thank you. And with that, that's the end of our agenda. Just a couple of quick, well, I should say this. Does anybody else want to bring up anything for the good of the group? Okay, thank you. Thank you all for being here. I want to say thank you to everybody who came to Pinktoberfest, was involved with Pinktoberfest. Thank you for making that event very special. We had the best weather we've ever had for a Trail Citizens event, so that was great. And keep an eye out. Trail Citizens is going to be doing a membership drive later this year, so just keep an eye out for that. Communications are on their way soon. The tree lighting is early this year. It is November 23rd. So that is the Sunday before the Thanksgiving holiday. So just we'll post more about that in the coming weeks, but just be aware of that. And yeah, thank you all so very much for being here. I'm going to go ahead and conclude this meeting. Thank you for all of you on Zoom and have a lovely rest of your evening.